Shalom, my people. With all the rhetoric on mainstream and social media platforms about black people, I'm here today to push into the spotlight a problem plaguing our communities across America. I'm speaking about the overwhelming numbers of murders and disappearances of our young black women and girls, and no one is taking a second thought about it, especially not the media. Society's attitude towards the usual emphasize that most violence towards black women come from black men. But what happens when it's not? And what do you do when those sworn to protect and serve turn a blind eye to a community's cry for help? Let's talk about it, my people, to find solutions for ourselves.
A warning to our listeners and viewers. We begin today's show with a story that includes graphic details of sexual violence. On October 7th, a 22-year-old black woman in Excelsior Springs, Missouri, escaped from a white man who she says held her captive in his basement for nearly a month, whipping, torturing, and raping her repeatedly. The woman fled and knocked on a neighbor's door for help after the man left the house to take his son to school.
About 7:30 a.m., I faintly heard a young female saying, "Help me."
Lisa Johnson was the first person to encounter the woman and to help rescue her. She told the Excelsior Citizen the woman was nearly naked as she pleaded for help.
Her wrists were pretty messed up and her ankles. Asked what she needed. It was obvious. I didn't really have to ask at that point. I just started looking. First thing I did was tell her I was calling the police. That kind of agitated her. She told her that if I called the police, that he would kill both of us if he found out. She said he already killed her two friends that she was with.
The woman who escaped said other black women were killed by her abductor. She's not spoken publicly. She's not been named, but she helped break open a story that the Kansas City police had vehemently denied as community members raised alarm that black women and girls were being disappeared in September, possibly by a serial killer. Police responded by saying the reports were, quote, completely unfounded. Some of the concerns were raised in a now viral video by Bishop Tony Caldwell of Eternal Life Church by the independent publication, the Kansas City Defender.
I am a little upset right now. The reason I'm upset is because we got 4 young ladies that have been murdered within the last week here off of 85th and Prospect. We got a serial killer again, and ain't nobody saying nothing. The media's not covering it. We got 3 young ladies that are missing. Ain't nobody saying a word. What is the problem? Why can't we get some cooperation? Where's our community leaders? Where's our activists? Where's our public officials? Where's our police department? Where is those folks at? In President Gardens. Come on now. We need to start knocking doors. We need to start making sure that this is brought to the light. We cannot continue to let this happen.
After that video went viral in September, the Kansas City Police Department spokesperson insisted there was, quote, no basis to support this rumor, unquote. But police have since arrested 39-year-old Timothy Hazlitt of Excelsior Springs, Missouri, for kidnapping and torturing the woman who escaped. The Kansas City Defender has reported on his social media posts saying they show the sexual predator was, quote, a white supremacist who believed we are in a race war. For more, we're joined in Kansas City by 2 guests, Ryan Sorrell, founder of the Black-led independent newspaper, the Kansas City Defender, and Justice Gatson, executive director of the Real Justice Network, a black woman-led organization based in Kansas City, Missouri. Welcome you both to Democracy Now! I mean, Ryan, your black-led independent newspaper has been leading the charge on this as the police department adamantly denied there was any issue until chains. Can you take us through this story? And not only her story, but she said to the woman who helped her that her friends were killed.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that this is one of the most horrific tragedies that I have ever come across in my lifetime. I know that when we first reported this story, we received it from numerous community members who were making these reports and testimonies, is what we refer to them as. The police department refers to them as rumors, largely because they come from the Black community. But we reported these reports and testimonies in mid to late September. And, you know, rather than reaching out to us to understand and gather more information about where we got this information from, rather than reaching out to the community to understand where these concerns were coming from, the police department, 3 days after we reported this initially, you know, came out and literally just said, these are completely unfounded rumors, is what they called them. And as you mentioned, they said that there's no basis to support these claims. And so to me and to us and our community, the number one problem with how the police department handled this situation was that they called it completely unfounded without doing any type of investigation at all. And it seemed, you know, much more like they were actually trying to discredit our community voices and to silence our community voices than to, you know, look after what was actually happening in our community. And to us, that's a testament to the type of anti-Blackness that is prevalent in our police department, which is also currently under federal investigation for racism and discrimination. And so once these new revelations came out, I actually reached out to the police department to see if they would update their statement or if they still maintained their initial position that our reports were completely unfounded. And they said that they do still maintain, you know, regardless of these new revelations that clearly show that they were wrong, they said they still maintain their position that what we reported, they said specifically, was completely unfounded. And so we think that this is a larger conversation, even beyond this specific situation. We think that this speaks to the silencing, the violent silencing of Black women, specifically of the Black community at large here in Kansas City. And this is actually something that has been happening since the inception of the Kansas City Police Department. And we know that this is not the first time that this has ever happened.
And Ryan, I wondered if you could elaborate on that. Some of the department's selective inflicting violence on the Black community, and also at times even police officers themselves implicated.
Kansas City Police Roger Golubski, arrested by the FBI Thursday. Golubski, 69, is accused of using his power and badge to sexually assault women. Williams is one of his alleged victims.
I thought he was telling me, gonna tell me something, and he ended up raping me.
But the accusations against Golubski don't end there. Lamont McIntyre, who spent 23 years in prison for a double murder he didn't commit, sued Golubski and other Kansas City officers, alleging in the lawsuit that Golubski framed Lamont double homicide in 1994 because his mother refused detectives' demands. The local government agreed to settle the lawsuit for $12.5 million back in June. Civil rights groups for years sought an investigation into Golubski's conduct, even garnering attention from Team Rock, the social justice arm of hip-hop mogul Jay-Z's entertainment company.
All right, guys. I hope this information that I brought forth today would continue the fight. And one thing you can do, letters are a very powerful tool. So I'm going to be posting in the description the information for the Department of Justice. You can also send letters to Jay-Z's organization, or there's also information that's going to be posted for the Kansas City Defender. I'm going to have a plethora of resources to help you, help our brothers and sisters in Kansas City continue this fight, because if we don't continue to make noise, we can't get any legislatures changed. We need protective laws for our people. So there can be some type penalties on people who do these things to us. And it's a shame that an entire police department for decades has been doing this. And it has taken decades for them to finally investigate. But no, don't relieve the pressure. Do not relieve the pressure, my people. I know a lot of times our community, we get so depressed by things that happen to us. And, this fight continues, but, all of us have a voice. So even if you don't get on social media, you can write a letter. If you vote and you are a tax-paying citizen, you have the right to write a letter and tell the Department of Justice you're not happy. You're not happy with what they're doing with the situation, because obviously the girl escaping was a divine intervention, and she was able to prove through her torture and through her trauma that she had went through, that this man is just going around in a community, probably a project community, just picking off our little black girls. And we as blacks across the United States should be upset about this. And we need to make noise. So I implore all of you guys that listen, and I ask you to share this video to encourage others to do so. Writing letters is a very powerful thing. And you can always keep copies of your letters so they can't say you didn't try to speak up. So you speak up, you have a paper trail, and you drive them crazy with the mail system. You can shut down if every black person across the United States of America wrote a letter at the same time to the Department of Justice. I think they would probably have a hissy fit. But at least we'll be heard. And they'll probably put it on the media, because they were like, it was 1 million letters came at one time. Yes, annoy them if you have to, because this is serious. Even though I chuckle to keep from crying and getting mad and angry and talking on this camera crazy and recklessly. So I don't do that. So I present information so you guys can be aware and be vigilant, because obviously if the government cared, this wouldn't even be an issue. Why do we have to ask people not to kill us? You can use the stats against us all you want, but that bishop was obviously telling you people were picking off these little girls and these young women out of this area. And oh, stop telling rumors, black man. Oh, come on now. It's just sad. Well, let me share my screen and show you what the Department of Justice has just published 4 days ago regarding the Kansas City Police Department's FBI investigation. Hope you guys can see that. Let's see. It says former Kansas City Police Department detective and 3 others indicted for conspiracy to hold young women in involuntary servitude and forcing them to provide sexual services. A federal grand jury in Topeka, Kansas, returned a 3-count indictment unsealed today, charging former Kansas City Police Department Detective Roger Golubsky and 3 other men, Cecil Brooks, Lamarck Roberson, and Richard Robinson, with conspiring decades ago to hold young women in a condition of involuntary sexual servitude. Brooks, Roberson, and Robinson are also charged in substantive count with holding a young woman identified as person one in a condition of involuntary servitude, and Brooks, Roberson, and Golubsky are charged in a substantive count with holding another young woman, person two, in a condition of involuntary servitude. I will also post a link to this article from the Department of Justice. And I'm also on this link, it also shows where they have something for civil rights and human trafficking here. There's links on there for that. And if you want to contact them, the contact information is here. And you can also subscribe to this website, because you can keep up on a lot of the information before the media gets a hold of it, because a lot of times that get twisted and turned around when all these crazy people on media who have no business trying to help our community. It just angers me sometimes, because those that want to help, they degrade. So it's, if you want to help on the media, tell the truth. Stop lying. It's so heart-wrenching, when things are targeted towards our Black women, it just gets twisted around, or it just gets told, oh, these are women of color. Well, women of color can mean a lot of different minorities. It doesn't mean it's Black women that were descendants of slaves. That's a big difference, because when we get targeted, nobody hears us, because to this day, we still get treated like slaves with these microaggressions. And now you got a whole police department going around raping people. But it's asinine to think that the government would do anything unless we yell about it. So I ask you to yell. I ask you to write letters. I ask you to continue to help our brothers and sisters in Kansas City fight this injustice. And they need to just clean out that entire police department. That is just ridiculous. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. Take care of yourself and each other. Be vigilant and continue to fight. Until next time, shalom.
In a very scary video that was captured on security camera footage, this girl was bringing her dog inside, and as soon as she brought her dog inside and locked the door, there was a guy that was actually watching her that tried to get inside of her house as soon as she closed the door. This guy must have been watching this girl for quite some time. He knew that she was home alone and even brought gloves and zip ties with him. He definitely has some ill intentions in his mind. The girl inside of the house eventually realized that there was a guy trying to break inside of her house, so she quickly ran into her room and hid and called 911, but as soon as police arrived, the guy was no longer there, so he was never found or arrested. Also, make sure every single time you walk inside of your house to lock your door right away, because you never know if someone is watching you and has ill intentions to do something towards you. Individual.